Judiciary Committee, Howard Berman of California.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield my time for relevant questioning to the gentlelady from California, Ms. Sanchez.
And I thank the gentleman for yielding. To get back to the subject matter of this hearing, Ms. Goodling, you said that you had some concerns about Mr. McNulty's testimony before Congress. To whom at the DOJ did you voice those concerns?
I voiced them to a number of people, and some of my concerns related, or the majority of my concerns related more to, I thought, where we were going to be headed after the testimony. I was very concerned. I didn't want us to go out and say bad things about our U.S. attorneys.
But to whom did you?
So when I left the hearing, I spoke first with Will Michella, and I expressed some concern that. I expressed some concern about providing negative information about people who had worked for us first. I went back to the department and I went into Kyle Sampson's office and I told him that I did not think that the hearing had gone all that well. And I told him some of the things that the deputy had indicated he would provide. And I believe I did mention some of my concerns about some of the things that I thought he had said, but I think the focus of my concern was really that I was afraid that we were going to go down a road of saying bad things about people who had worked for us publicly.
So you didn't express a concern to either Mr. Michella or Mr. Sampson that the testimony might not have been complete or might have been misleading to some degree? It was just you didn't want to say bad things about people?
I did say to Mr. Sampson, I think that there were a couple of things that I didn't think were fully right, but I don't remember.
Aside from Mr. Michelle and Mr. Sampson, was there anybody else that you voiced those concerns to?
I talked to Mike Elston after that.
Anybody besides Elston?
I talked to Cia Scalinos, but our conversation just related more to, it was a very short conversation.
Besides those four, anybody else?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you. Before you joined the executive office for the U.S. attorneys in the spring of 2005, did you have any experience in making personnel decisions involving the hiring or the firing of employees?
Yes. In the putting aside college, where I was a student body president, we actually did hire people to work on various organizations.
In a professional capacity outside of college?
At the Republican National Committee, I was the deputy director there of research and strategic planning, and we had.
You did hiring and firing then?
I did some in the research department that I.
How did you get your position at the EO-USA? Who hired you?
I interviewed with Mary Beth Buchanan, who was the director at the time.
Okay. At EO-USA, you were involved in the hiring process for line-level assistant U.S. attorney positions in offices of acting or interim U.S. attorneys. Is that correct?
Yes.
And press reports say that you insisted that you retain your power to review the hiring of AUSAs after you became an aide to Alberto Gonzalez. Is that correct?
Yes. When I was in the executive office, I would refer significant requests to Mr. Sampson, who was in the AG's office at the time. So when I moved to the AG's office and basically took that role, my position in the executive office actually remained vacant for a long time, so there wasn't somebody in the executive office to do it.
But you did retain your power to review the hiring of AUSAs. What leverage did you have to make any demands on the Attorney General to retain that power? If the position became vacant and you were doing it in the interim, I'm assuming they filled the position. And why would you still retain power of hiring and firing?
Because I had referred significant requests to Mr. Sampson before I moved, those were things that they just kept referring to me. I didn't mind doing it. I kind of liked having, being able to provide input on. One of the questions I would often ask Mr. Sampson was, do we think we're going to have a new U.S. attorney soon? How long would it be, if we held on to the waiver? If it was going to be 6 more months until a new U.S. attorney showed up, the waiver request might be more reasonable. But if a new U.S. attorney was going to be there in 2 weeks, of course you would want them to be involved in the hiring decision.
Let me ask you about this. Recent press reports state that you moved to block the hiring of assistant U.S. attorneys with resumes that suggested that they might be Democrats. A recent Newsweek article says that you attempted to block the hiring of a prosecutor in the office of Jeff Taylor, the U.S. attorney for D.C., for being a, quote, liberal Democratic type. And the New York Times reports that this was a Howard University law school graduate who worked at the EPA. Did that, in fact, occur?
I think that when I did look at that resume, I made a snap judgment, and I regret it.
So that did occur. You blocked that hiring.
I didn't block it permanently. He was hired and I
But
did
you-
authorize it. I delayed it.
You delayed it.
I did.
And how many applicants did you block or delay on the basis of what their potential political leanings might have been?
You know, I wouldn't be able to give you a number. I don't feel like there were very many cases where I had those thoughts. Most of the time I looked at waiver requests, I made them strictly based on, you know, whether there was an extraordinary need, and I agreed with and how long it would be till the new U.S. attorney got there. But I'm being
Time of the gentlelady's expired.
Thank you, Mr.
You
Chairman.
can finish your comment, ma'am.
sure. But I want to be honest. There were cases when I looked at resumes and I thought, you know, I don't know if this is the person the new U.S. attorney would want to hire. Why don't we just wait and let them take a look at the request? And if they want to hire them when they get there, then they can.
I would just like to ask the chairman for unanimous consent to enter into the record the New York Times and Newsweek articles about the decision making for hiring and firing based on
Without objection, so